It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm Tyler Keefe. Thank you so much for joining us all across our network on the TV station, on the radio station, and of course on the web on civiccentertv.com, as well as across social media. Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, as well as Instagram, X, and YouTube at Civic Center TV. Our top story today is continuing to be the top story really over the last roughly 1 week here in greater West Bloomfield. A mass of snowfall hitting our communities over the last almost nearly a week at this point, beginning on Wednesday evening into Thursday of last week, and then with a little bit of a lull at the end of the week, it came back with a vengeance over the weekend. Saturday and Sunday snowy conditions leading to a total of about 6 to 6.5 inches from our measurement right outside Green Media Center as we begin the week here in greater West Bloomfield, making for a tough drive around town. We experienced it, our team here at Civic Center TV. Surely you have, as you've been venturing to and from greater West Bloomfield today. And so we went out and talked to an expert to give you some additional information that may be helpful as you continue through these conditions today or within the next snowstorms throughout the rest of this winter. Winter affects tire pressure in a number of different ways. It can cause issues as you try to get out onto the roads or try to get a good grip of the road with your tires. So we talked to Alex Ho, the owner of Midas of West Bloomfield, about some tips that will help you improve your tire conditions before you hit the snowy roads today.
Well, you want to make sure your tires are aired up. That's number one. Even if your tires are brand spanking new, if you don't have enough air in them, they're gonna wear out prematurely. So you want to make sure your tires are aired up, and then you want to make sure that you have enough tread on the tires. Tires are measured in 30 of an inch. So we have a tool that can measure the depth on tires, and typically you want your tires to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 30 of an inch. Most auto repair shops, we definitely can check that out, and we can also top off your air at no charge.
Very helpful advice as during this time of the year you may notice your tire pressure will drop if you've got notifications in your car, especially newer cars that will tell you your tire pressure is low through a push notification on your phone or on the dash screen in your vehicle. These cold temperatures, especially as they fluctuate from 30s and 40s to more like the 10s and the teens this week, can really be a big difference maker. So good advice from Alex. Also with these cold temperatures, we of course want to warm our vehicles up for our own comfort, but there's a lot of information out there, some that says you want to warm your car up for the better performance of your vehicle, and others that tell you it's not really necessary. We got his opinion on that as well.
It's not necessary from a technical and vehicle maintenance standpoint to warm up your car anymore. Engines nowadays are direct fuel injection motors, and so the motor gets the gasoline super fast versus carburetors, those sort of back in the day. So you really don't need to quote-unquote warm up your engine anymore. The only reason why you'd really warm up the car is for your own purposes, get the heated seats going, that sort of thing. But really just, starting the car up a couple minutes is all the engine and transmission really need.
I'm always going to warm up the car just a little bit, all right? Not even for my own comfort. I can take the cold temperatures a little bit better than most, but I just like to make sure it's going to be a smooth ride out there. It goes back to my first car being an old beater that really needed a good warm-up way back in the day. But good advice from Alex as we get back out on the roads today after the snowy weekend here in greater West Bloomfield. And we're looking to save some time. It can be a hassle. You're getting out the door. You got a busy day ahead of you. You're trying to get to work, trying to get your kids to their activities today. Maybe they have the day off of school because of the holiday. And so you try to speed up that process. Maybe you leave the snow on your windshield. Maybe you don't warm up your car. But there are some of these steps that can actually be mistakes and could put you in harm's way potentially, depending on the hazards that are present out on the road.
some common things that we see go wrong during the winter is people start to use their wiper blades to remove snow. You really don't want to do that. The wiper motor is not strong enough to support that. You really want to dust off your vehicle with an actual scraper. You want to make sure your vehicle typically has about at least half a tank of gas, just because in extreme weather the fuel lines can freeze over, and that would be a very expensive repair. Some other things are, try to have like an emergency kit in your car just in case you do get stranded. But those are really the main points.
I do have an emergency kit in my car. Very helpful in these sorts of situations, especially if you end up getting ran off the road in some snow during these conditions. Maybe it's a little bit slipperier out there, or people may be driving a little bit aggressively and you have to take some evasive action. Always helpful to have that. But I am guilty. I don't have a gavel, but I'll bang the table at least. I'm guilty of using the windshield wipers to remove snow from my windshield instead of scraping it off. I got a shorter scraper, so it's a tough reach. Won't do that anymore. Thank you to Alex and the entire team at Midas for that sage advice as we begin our week in these snowy conditions in Greater West Bloomfield. You can visit them on Orchard Lake Road, on Maple Road, just west of Orchard Lake in West Bloomfield, and tell them we say hello when you go over there as well. It's also a good time to show some support for our unsung heroes who help to keep our community safe and those roads clear in our cities in particular. You may not know it, but there is a difference between township and city roads. And our township here in West Bloomfield, those roads are cleared by the Road Commission for Oakland County. But in Keagle Harbor, in Orchard Lake Village, and in Sylvan Lake, it's all up to their Department of Public Works. And in the heart of the lakes, it's a one-man band over in Keagle Harbor. And that one man is the man on your screen, Doug Walden. Big appreciation for him. He's put in a lot of hours over the last week on Wednesday night into Thursday, all throughout the day, clearing snow on Keago's roads, and then going back out and spending his entire weekend out there as well. Karen Mebrod from Keagle Harbor, a local resident, taking these pictures as she said hello to Doug over the weekend. Next time you see him out on the road, and if you have a chance to stop him and he has a couple of minutes, say hello, thank him for his service to the community. A resident there for nearly 30 years, working around the clock when we have conditions like this. And you can also join his team as well. Keagle Harbor seeking part-time and seasonal work with the Department of Public Works that will help to clear the snow in the city and beautify the city spaces over the spring and the summer and the fall as well. If you want to join that team, applications are open as we speak, and more information is available on KeagleHarbor.org. It's on your screen as we speak. Pause the video if you need. KeagleHarbor.org is the website for even more information from the city if you want to join Doug and the team in the Department of Public Works. As you're clearing snow after the snowstorm over the weekend and late last week, keep in mind some of the rules that are in place. This is from the West Bloomfield Police Department, urging residents as you plow your snow today, or shovel or use your snow blower, however you do it, make sure that snow doesn't get back into the road. It is illegal. You got to keep that snow off of the roadways and put it into common areas in your yard. After that major snowstorm, it is against the law for ice, slush, or any other residue from these storms to end up in the roads as a result of snow plowing. You could end up getting a visit from our friends at the West Bloomfield Police Department. For more information and helpful advice, Facebook.com/West Bloomfield PD is their Facebook page for more helpful safety tips all around the clock. In addition, today is President's Day, and so many of our government offices will be closed, our banks, our schools, and so on. So while they're all taking the day off, let's take a look back in history to presidential connections to Greater West Bloomfield. Now, no president while in office has visited Greater West Bloomfield, but that doesn't limit us to being void of having connections to the White House. As recently as 2018, when Vice President Mike Pence joined now U.S. Representative John James, who at the time was running for Senate here in West Bloomfield at Shenandoah Country Club for a campaign visit. Now, he's not the only one with connections to Washington, D.C.'s highest office over at the White House that's visited our community. And as I said earlier on, we haven't had a president visit while in office, but we did have a president once at least join us here in our community. It was over 10 years ago, back in 2012, when he was serving as vice president to Barack Obama. Joe Biden, a future president, visited West Bloomfield again while out on the campaign trail. So, some connections to the campaigns for president here in Greater West Bloomfield, but no presidents visited here while in office, at least to our knowledge, here at Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. But got some hope for the future. We got some really interesting people here in our community. We got some really intelligent kids coming out of our 7 school districts that serve Greater West Bloomfield. Hey, maybe one day they'll be president and they'll come home for a visit themselves. Exciting news for our entire community. The Orchard Lake Fine Art Show is coming back this summer, and the dates have officially been set. Mark your calendars for July 26th and 27th as you'll make your way back out to Powers and Daly Road just off of Orchard Lake at the Boulevard in West Bloomfield. The hours, same as they have been in the past, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on that opening Saturday, and the closing Sunday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., featuring some of the greatest artists from across the U.S. and artists from all over the world that come to Greater West Bloomfield to join in on one of the top art shows in the entire country. You're seeing some of our footage from 2024, and hopefully even more excitement there for the entire public in 2025, putting Greater West Bloomfield on the map all summer long. That happening, again, July 26th and 27th, as you see on your screen. More information can be found on hotworks.org. As you're traveling throughout the community today, of course, you'll notice how difficult it can be in certain spots here in Greater West Bloomfield and beyond to get from point A to point Z. That's even harder when you are in our senior population or population of our people with disabilities. And that's where West Bloomfield Parks comes into play, providing a very important service to help these individuals get around to all the places they need to go and have a little fun along the way as well. Our reporter Jake Schaff has the story.
Cold weather and slick roads are a very dangerous combination. But thankfully, the great people of West Bloomfield Parks have a great solution to help get some of the older residents of the community around town with their West Bloomfield Parks transit services. Bus services that can pick them up at their homes or right here at the Parks building to take them all over town and beyond to some incredible opportunities. And especially in a time of year like this, these services are more important than ever.
Yes, it's very handy, it's very nice. And for some people who can't come by their car to here, they can even pick them up at home. Luckily, I don't need that yet. I can drive my car here to the Parks and Rec and then use for longer ride the bus. You go to different places, and it's nice to see the environment not from your driver's seat, but from the passenger seat. And so I think the drivers are really good, and groups of people are very nice. So I like to use this transportation.
It's very important, and it's been excellent because a lot of communities don't have services for their seniors the way West Bloomfield has, that they will arrange all kinds of trips and programs at the center, and they'll even pick you up to take you there. So it's been great.
How beneficial would you say these services are to the city of West Bloomfield?
We provide freedom and independence for those that, for one reason or another, cannot drive and have lost the ability to independently maneuver throughout the township. It enables people to stay in their homes. It enables people to live an independent life. Overwhelmingly, our support has been positive from our residents. We actually have one that is currently looking for assisted living and refuses to leave the township because of us, and that's a good feeling.
I know they're very appreciative of what we do. We enable them to do things they may not ordinarily get out to do. Simple things like going to the grocery store, going to the drugstore, the bank. Folks may not be able to get out as readily as they are with us. We make it a lot easier, hopefully.
And sometimes it's more than just simple trips to the grocery store, as these seniors can get the chance to witness once-in-a-lifetime opportunities, like a live performance from the Detroit Symphony Orchestra.
It's very gratifying. Everybody on the ride home start talking about how good the performance is, how much they enjoy it. And again, it may be something they wouldn't normally do. It's very gratifying when I drop them off at the end of a show. Most of the folks thank me, they smile, they're real happy to get out, and whether it's winter, summer, and it's very gratifying.
West Bloomfield Parks does everything they can every single day to help out the amazing seniors of the greater West Bloomfield community. And amazing services like the transit system makes their lives just a little bit easier and a lot more fulfilling. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
Great report from Jake Schaff of our team, and looks like a really fun day out and about throughout Greater West Bloomfield and beyond. A little road trip with our friends over at West Bloomfield Parks. Again, you can get more information on their transit program by visiting wbparks.org. Also encourage you to head on over to our website on civiccentertv.com. I talked extensively about this subject with Megan Tahako, their marketing and communications manager, to get even more information on how to get a hold of these services, the timeline you need to be within, and what they can be used for as well. wbparks.org to sign up and to get the phone number you need to call and set those appointments. It's going to be a very chilly week as we kick off this week here in Greater West Bloomfield. The opening days having the temperatures as low as 2 degrees tonight, 4 degrees over the next 48 hours. And then as we get into the later portions of the week, it warms up until that heat wave over the weekend where we see temperatures nearing the 40s. But with the colder temperatures and in some cases the extreme cold, it ups your chances of hypothermia as you expose yourself to the elements. Our team's Kevin McIntosh spoke to the West Bloomfield Fire Department for some helpful tips to keep you healthy and safe in the great outdoors.
From the West Bloomfield Fire Department, Fire Captain Hans Drews. Thank you for being here, Captain.
Hey, Kevin, my pleasure. Nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you also, sir. So we're here in the middle of winter during some on and off extremely cold temperatures, so I'm happy to have you here. I just want to start off by asking, how prepared do you think West Bloomfield residents are for dealing with hypothermia and frostbite emergencies during this winter season?
Yeah, overall, I think that our residents are well prepared. I think that probably those who don't grow up in Michigan and in this area, it's a little bit more of a struggle. But for the most part, most of us as Michiganders are well prepared and kind of have a decent idea of what to do. However, this is a great opportunity for me to answer any questions you have, and if there's anything I can do to help our residents out, it's been my pleasure.
Great segue, Captain. Great segue. With that being said, let's get straight into it, because I've been driving around looking at some of our beautiful lakes, but I see some tents set up on those lakes. Lake is completely frozen. I might even see someone ice skating every now and then. So I want to talk about, are there any common issues or situations that your team encounters when it comes to hypothermia or frostbite calls?
Yeah. So, speaking of the lakes, obviously West Bloomfield, lots of water within the township. And we have residents who are using the lakes year-round, and it's a great opportunity. However, in the colder seasons, obviously we got to be careful on going on the ice, right? So the standard safety is that you check the thickness of the ice before you go on it. 4 inches thick is generally accepted as 4 inches or thicker as what's safe to be on the ice.
Okay.
And so here in West Bloomfield, we do deal with cold water drownings and people falling through the ice. And that is something that we do deal with. But your question you asked about as far as what is more common. And so although that is something that we do deal with, I would say that as far as a common issue, my biggest concern is the elderly patients or elderly people. I'm not sure exactly what, as you're getting older, and maybe, you think that you're still a spring chicken, and you can be out there, doing what you did when you were younger. And, so maybe take that in consideration, right? And then certainly check on your neighbors, check on your family, make sure that they are aware of how cold it is and they're not going out in the cold. That would be my recommendation.
First and foremost, great information, great response to that. First and foremost, you really don't realize how cold it is until you go outside. Even if you look at the temperature, you say it says 7 degrees. What does 7 degrees feel like? You don't know until you go outside, especially go outside unprepared. So that's one thing. Moving on to our next question, I want to bring up the fact that at a very young age, I learned that when you are outside freezing, your hands, your limbs are cold, the first thing you should not do is put your hands and feet in hot water. I did that. It was the worst pain I probably ever felt in my entire life. I want you to walk us through the steps your department takes when responding to some of these hypothermia or frostbite-related emergencies.
Yeah, good question. So slow warming, right? Obviously, what we're doing in our efforts, so it's a little different than what everybody at home is doing. But one thing we're doing is every day, our men and women are making sure that all of our apparatus are ready to go, that we have all the equipment that we need, and that we're ready at a moment's notice to respond and deal with whatever the situation is. In particular, responding to a hypothermia call, we're going to make sure that our patient compartment of our rescue, that we've got our heat on high, turned up, fan on high, and just trying to create a space where we can bring a patient into where we're already going to start the warming process by just bringing them into a warmer environment. So those are some of the things that we're doing in preparation for that. We have heat packs so that we can warm people up using a heat pack, or to warm up the IV fluid should we have to, depending on how severe the case is.
Oh my goodness. As we were talking and I even brought that up, I just thought back to that time when I was like 10 years old outside playing and went to my great grandmother's house, so cold, and she gave me a bucket of hot water to put my feet in. It was the worst thing ever. So thank you for explaining that.
Warm water is appropriate, right? So warm water is okay for someone at home to use, but yeah, definitely you want to slowly warm the temperature back up.
There you go. Oh, yeah, there you go. Slow progressing with that also. With us right here live on the Splash from the West Bloomfield Fire Department, Fire Captain Hans Drews, talking about hypothermia and frostbite management in the middle of these freezing winter temperatures. Don't want to hold you up too much longer. Just want to ask you a few other questions, if you don't mind. Let's say we're in a situation where one person amongst a group of people is experiencing frostbite or hypothermia, and they called emergency responders to come, but for the time being, until that 5 or 10 minutes that they're there, what should some of the bystanders do to help that person experiencing that emergency?
Yeah, great question. So you can try and shield them from the wind if you are outdoors. If you're able to get them indoors, ideally that would be what you want to do, is try and get them into a warm environment. If they're wet, you're going to want to remove any wet items or wet layers of clothing. But beyond that, it's really just a matter of trying to warm them up to the best of your ability. Stay away from the hot water. You don't want to, like we talked about already, you just want to you put some blankets on them and just do your best to try and protect them from the elements and warm them up.
Yep, good point. And it would seem like common sense, but it just makes so much more sense when you explain it the way that you do, Captain. Hey, we appreciate your time. One last question. I just want to bring this up because we're talking to a member of the fire department. You would usually associate that with, we only respond to fire, hot situations. But we're here to let people know that our fire department goes beyond that. So beyond emergencies, specifically just beyond emergencies in general, how does our fire department contribute to overall winter safety in West Bloomfield?
Yeah, so, we community risk reduction, that's a mindset that we have, that we're just always vigilant. All of our members are looking for things that might potentially be an issue, right? So in the winter, that could just be an unsafe road condition. Do we have the ability to put salt down or take care of that? No, we don't. However, we do have that communication line open with the county and our other responding agencies, whether that's the police department or the road commission, to try and make things safer for our residents. So that is something that we're just always mindful of, is just keeping our eyes open, keeping our heads on a swivel, and just trying to draw from our experience of what we've experienced through our career and our time on the job, and just kind of like, oh, all right, well, I see something that could potentially be a problem for somebody, for one of our residents. So let's do what we can do to try and mitigate that problem, because prevention is the best thing that we can do.
Hey, I couldn't thank you enough for you and everyone at the West Bloomfield Fire Department for every single thing that you do. And I say that on behalf of myself and everyone here at Civic Center TV. Once again, thank you again, sir. Fire Captain from the West Bloomfield Fire Department, Hans Drews. Thank you for your time, sir.
My pleasure, Kevin. Nice talking with you.
Love it, love it, love it.
A really important conversation to have as we go into the early portions of this week. Really, Monday through Wednesday of this week are going to be where we see potential for that extreme cold, especially in the evenings and the early portions of the morning during your commute. So keep that advice in mind as you are traveling throughout the community. Certainly if you're taking some days off and enjoying some time out on the water as well, playing hockey, going ice fishing, or just exploring nature in the greater West Bloomfield community. More information and helpful advice all throughout the season on Facebook at WB Fire Department. We'll take a break on the Splash Live. Plenty more coming up, including some fun and activities throughout the community and chances for your kids to get involved in some leadership opportunities as well. Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live. Want to enjoy Civic Center TV on your social media? Find us on Instagram at Civic Center TV. Get notified when we upload one of our interviews, full episodes, and more. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
Hi, I'm Chris Fry, Park Superintendent, West Bloomfield Parks. Congratulations, Civic Center TV, on 1 million views on YouTube. Thank you for all you do in the community, and thank you for having me on The Splash throughout the season to talk about activities out in the parks. Chris Fry, proud to be 1 in a million.
What people are watching in Kego Harbor. Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to the Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Welcome back. I'm your host, Tyler Keefe. Thank you so much for joining us and for following us across social media, Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, as well as X, Instagram, and of course, for free, subscribing to our YouTube channel at Civic Center TV. Some great opportunities are on their way for your kids to get involved in some leadership training. Take a front row driving seat to the future of their careers and maybe even some opportunities to grow as young people in our community. It's all through Leadership Oakland, who's created a new venture called Junior Leadership Oakland. And joining us now for more information on that is the Executive Director of Leadership Oakland, Susan Holliday. Thank you so much for being with us today.
As always, Tyler, great to see you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great to have you on to talk about Junior Leadership Oakland. It's a new program. It's just kicking off as we speak. Got some exciting activities coming up in the coming months for kids across our community. Tell us about this new program.
Yeah, it's actually been around for a while. So, as you know, we have an adult program where we take 50 leaders every year and put them through our 9-month leadership program. One of the things they have to do before they graduate is a day of service. So, back in 2008, one of our classes decided to do a 3-day leadership workshop, and it was so well done, so well received by the community. We've continued it ever since. So, this is our 17th year now holding Junior Leadership Oakland. It's a 3-day workshop, free to any high school student in Oakland County or the region.
And so it's not a new program. It's a program that's existed for a long time. But we want to get the word out because maybe people don't know about this. Parents, certainly students, may not know that this is even available to them. And if they want to work on their leadership, or parents want to get kids involved in something that could be constructive to them now and into the future, how does Junior Leadership Oakland help to build up those skills in our high school kids?
You know, that's a great question. And I appreciate us getting the word out. You know, during the pandemic, we had to take a couple of years off. So we are back. And, you know, this is probably our 3rd year back since COVID. And like I said, it's a 3-day workshop. And really what we want to do is encourage them to expand their leadership skills. We know every student is a leader in some way. And so this is our adult program that you're showing right here, which is this year's class of our adult. But this is a spinoff, really, is we want to develop leaders early. So one of the things that we teach is a personality assessment, that, you know, so they can learn what is their personality style and how to interact with other students and other leaders that they may run into. We talk about how to get out of your comfort zone. We do a field trip. So we take them to a couple local businesses to kind of showcase what's here in our county that they could get involved in the future. There's our junior LO students right there. That was last year's class. So last year we had 35 students from 18 different high schools in the region. So a great way to meet other students and develop your leadership skills.
Yeah, it's a remarkable class to have 35 kids from across the Oakland County area participating in this program, getting to know each other, sharing some ideas, growing together. That's an incredible program that people need to know about and hopefully will get engaged with. And so, Susan, as we think about Junior Leadership Oakland and we compare it to other leadership programs that may be available in our local school districts or throughout the state or even nationally, how does this compare in terms of the requirements that may be necessary in order to get into this program?
Yeah, you know, we make them really think about it. You know, what are your aspirations? What do you think you want to do in the future? But we also ask them, what are the challenges that youth are facing today? And that really helps us structure the curriculum. So we're addressing some of those issues. But I think 2 of the key things, like I said, we had 35 students from 18 different high schools. So you get an opportunity to meet students you might not get to meet. And then I think the other unique thing is we have a resource fair. And we bring in experts, not only from the universities and colleges, but there are so many organizations out there that have youth boards where high school students can get involved at an early age and become part of their leadership team. Easter Seals is a good example, the neighborhood house in Rochester. So we expose them to opportunities that once they leave our program, they can maybe take a step in getting more involved in their community and taking their leadership to that next level.
The Junior Leadership Oakland program is open to all high school students across Oakland County. You can find more information on their website, leadershipoakland.com. Joining us on the Splash Live is the Executive Director of Leadership Oakland, Susan Holliday, as we talk more about this program. And there's so many great skills that you can learn in a leadership program, especially as you're out and about in the community and you're consulting with people in positions of leadership across our local communities, Susan. But ultimately, the impact is what we're looking for here, especially parents looking to get their kids involved in something like this. So what have you seen in terms of results from past participants who've gone through this program and then taken those skills and put them into action?
That's a great question, Tyler. And I can give you an example. We have a gentleman who was actually a student in junior LO1. and came back every year and talked to the students in the program. One year he was studying abroad and we had him on a screen, to talk to the students. He now is a successful attorney and in the community and actually has gone through our adult program. We have a couple other individuals that joined those junior boards and now are part of organizations where they're helping them shape the future. So there's a lot of opportunity to take what they've learned, and then we also expose them to a lot of volunteer opportunities in their communities. And I think the last one is we have so many alumni from our adult program that in cases where it makes sense, we hook them up with a mentor that can help them if they know what field they want to go into. Perhaps we can hook them up with a mentor from our adult program to help them as they maneuver through their career journey.
Susan Holliday with us from Leadership Oakland, their executive director, as we discuss their Junior Leadership Oakland program open to students all across the Oakland County area. You can find more information, get your kids involved in that on leadershipoakland.com. Again, leadershipoakland.com. And Susan, you've emphasized this so much throughout our conversation today about how much community service, community involvement, getting these kids not just in the classroom and reading about leadership and talking about leadership, but actually seeing it in action right here in their hometowns. So what role ultimately does that participation in the community from these students and vice versa, the community participating in this program to help these students, what role does that really play in ultimately these great results you see from this?
I think one of the things, we have some dynamic speakers that come in and meet with them. It gives them an opportunity to make some connections. Maybe there's something they learn in those 3 days, or we visit a site. We do a couple, visits to corporations and organizations in the county where they might be able to then take that step and go volunteer with that organization. So we promote public leadership as much as, their own personal and professional leadership in the program.
And so, Susan, this is a great program. It'll look great on a resume. It'll look great on a college application. But not every kid knows that they want to go to college. They don't know what their career is going to be. They may not even be thinking that far ahead because they're 15, 16, 17 years old. So in those cases, what ultimately do you think will entice kids to be interested in this program? And really, why should they be at the point that they're at, even if they're not looking very far forward into their future?
Yeah, I think one of the things from the program, one of the things we introduced last year is to bring in some of those career paths. We brought in an entrepreneur, somebody from the medical field, an attorney, so to expose them to some of the careers that are out there, in addition to a 4-year degree, so that it gave them opportunities to kind of take a peek at maybe some things they didn't think about. We also, pair this really nicely with our Acorn to Oak Youth Grant program. So we promote that program within Junior Leadership Oakland so that maybe there's an idea there that they want to pursue, and we can help them with a grant to help them move forward in that capacity as well.
Ultimately, at the end of this program, for the students that participate year in and year out and come into this program, go out of this program, go on to do a number of different things, what do you hope is the ultimate takeaway for each of these individuals?
My thing is finding their passion and what they really want to do. It might not be, like you said, a 4-year degree at a college. So exposing them to a lot of different opportunities while they're young. And that's why we accept freshmen, so they can learn not only from the other students in the program, but from the speakers in the field trips that we do. So something might spark an interest and they can then pursue that. So that's our goal, is to just showcase there's so many opportunities out there, and then hopefully they can take that passion that they have and actually pursue that.
So Susan, take us a little bit through the timeline of this program. When can students apply to get into this? When are some of these activities throughout the year?
Yeah, good question. So the program, the applications opened on February 1st on our website, and the program is actually going to be run at Walsh College on June 16th through the 18th. It's a free 3-day workshop. So for any high school student, we provide food at the event, the transportation for the field trip. All they need to do is get back and forth to Walsh College. The times are 8:30 to 4:30 on those 3 days.
8:30 to 4:30.
Yeah, sorry, I should mention the deadline for applications is May 31st, and the program will be June 16th through the 18th.
So that's June 16th through the 18th, 8:30 to 4:30. Applications are due in early May, but they're open as we speak on leadershipoakland.com. Susan, before we let you go, anything else people should know about the Junior Leadership Oakland program?
No, I would just say take a leap of faith and apply. It's a great opportunity for you to meet other students. Like I said, one of the things we talk about how to get out of your comfort zone, and it's just a really worthwhile educational experience. I actually have a dad who called me 2 years ago, and one of the highlights of his daughter's application was our program, and they mentioned that in their interview, and she was accepted to a university that she really wanted to go to. So there's a lot of those little success stories. So I just say, apply, just apply, and we'd love to have you in the program this summer.
Fantastic results we've been hearing all throughout our conversation today, Susan, and hopefully some more of those journeys being undertaken as kids go into the Junior Leadership Oakland program. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, Tyler.
You as well. Leadershipoakland.com is the website. Again, it's leadershipoakland.com. Their activities in their upcoming program, June 16th through the 18th from 8:30 to 4:30 at Walsh College. You'll have to get transportation to get there, but all the other activities that they'll be doing throughout this program, they will provide transportation. Applications opened at the beginning of February, and they'll be open all the way through May. So again, leadershipoakland.com is the place to go for more of that. For younger kids in our community, they're hoping to make some great memories with their parents, and their parents hoping to make those memories early on, spend some quality time with their kids, and get them out and about and having some activity during the winter season. For that, West Bloomfield Parks invited them out for a beautiful evening at Glen Oaks Golf Club, and our Kevin McIntosh has the story.
It's a night filled with music, laughter, and special moments here at Glen Oaks Golf Club. The daddy-daughter dance is all about making memories, and tonight, we spoke with some fathers as well as event organizers to find out what makes this tradition so meaningful.
Oh, it means the world. Just put a smile on her face, everything like that makes me happy.
It's incredible, man. You see, she's been excited all day. This is the time that we really only get together, so it's incredible. We look forward to it every year.
As a father, it's important it's very important to demonstrate that your love for them, that they are special and loved. And it's a memory they'll never forget. Life is about memories, not experience. Life's about experiences and memories and not about stuff. And stuff like this will be saved in their head forever. And it's wonderful to see them all dressed up, and it really likes to enjoy the moment of when they're so little.
Behind the scenes, WB Parks works hard to make this event an unforgettable experience. Marketing and Communications Manager for WB Parks, Megan Tahako, explains why this dance is such an important tradition for the community.
It's really a fun opportunity just to have a special night for dads and daughters. It's something we look forward to hosting every year. It really is just so heartwarming, and it's really fun to see the girls year after year after year. They start about this big, and then by the time they're up here, they're still coming. So it's just so fun to be a part of a family's special memory that they do year after year.
For many fathers, this event is a must-attend tradition. Ricky Danton and other fathers shared why they wanted to bring their daughter tonight.
It's a wonderful night. If you've never done this, it's something that'll be locked in their head forever. Teach them that they're loved, valuable, because they're going to go out and you're setting a standard for your daughter of how a man is supposed to treat her, and you're going to be setting an example of how to treat your wife and how to treat anybody else around her. But yes, if you show her to treat her, she's special, you're setting the bar.
It seems like a lot. Do it. You'll remember it forever. They will remember it. Maybe not as well when they get a little older, but this is more for us than for them because it's just so much fun.
From the dance floor to the photo booth, tonight's been all about creating lasting memories for fathers and daughters. With every step, smile, and song, the tradition continues. From the Glen Oaks Golf Club, I'm Kevin McIntosh, Civic Center TV.
As was said, a night of great memories for fathers and daughters across our community, hopefully something that they'll cherish for many years. We know for sure those fathers are going to cherish this evening as their kids get older. It'll go by very, very quickly. Next door at West Bloomfield Township's Civic Center complex, the West Bloomfield Library not only has great books, but some of the tastiest food in our entire community as part of their What's Cooking series. That's put on by the Friends of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library with events all throughout the year. Here to tell us more is the president of the Friends of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library, Johnny Rocamore, with us on the Splash Live. Thank you so much for being with us, Johnny.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, happy to have you on to talk about What's Cooking, because people may go to the library in the evenings throughout the year and every now and then smell something really good and wonder if maybe someone left the break room open when they were warming up their dinner over there. But in fact, it's something that's open to the public, and it's an ongoing series.
Yes, it is. It's something that's been happening since the early 2000s, approximately 2008, where we feature local restaurants and restaurateurs. And we also provide tasty samples for our Friends members and the community.
So how does this fit the vision of the Friends of the Library? We know that you're really focused on engaging activities and a variety of activities throughout the year, but you don't typically think about cooking as being an activity that you do at the library. So why this?
We chose this event particularly because we find that food is something that binds people, that creates bonds. And food is something that people can share and talk about and do together. So the people that originally set up the What's Cooking program, I think it was Julia Spina. She started hosting different restaurants that were new to the community and restaurants that had been around that perhaps people weren't aware of. And it really did super well. So that's where we are now.
And so how does this sort of ongoing series enhance the sense of connection between residents of the community and, like you said, some of these restaurants that are right here in Greater West Bloomfield are very nearby, getting a chance to all kind of connect together and get to know the people behind them?
Yes, because when you're driving, for instance, down Orchard Lake, you're in the Strip, you don't always notice all of the wonderful restaurants that are to your right or to your left, because you're paying attention. You're trying to drive carefully. So what we do and what our committee does, especially Michaela and Elaine, they go to different areas looking for these restaurants that people oftentimes don't notice. They go in, they look at the setup, they may speak to the owners, and then they report back to me, or they share the information with me and other committee members, and then I go and speak to the owners to see if they'd be interested in participating.
And so as they come on in and they join the What's Cooking events all throughout the year, what sort of activities do they end up engaging in? Because it's one thing to bring samples and help people get to know what they'd be ultimately ordering when they go to your restaurant, but now how do you advance beyond that?
It really creates a sense of community, because we have so many different types of restaurant in the West Bloomfield community and surrounding area, that it brings all types of friends together. When our presenter, for instance, we start our program by introducing the presenter, and then they present a sample and they demonstrate how to prepare this. And often what they'll do is they'll select their favorite thing on their menu, and they prepare that step by step. And oftentimes we find that new chefs or old chefs, or sometimes they're afraid. Some people are afraid to try something new. So that this eliminates that whole process of fear. Some people say, well, I can't even follow a recipe. But we find that when someone's demonstrating it hands-on, it's a lot easier to do. And people walk away having a very positive experience and having tasty food and meeting new friends.
And that's ultimately what this is all about and what all the programs through the Friends of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library are all about. Johnny Rokamori is the president of the Friends of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library, joining us today on the Splash Live. And so ultimately it's all about getting the people of the community involved and engaged in these activities, getting to know their neighbors, getting to know some of the businesses. So obviously if it's been going on this long, it's been successful. The people enjoy it. But from your interactions with the community, what about what's cooking do you think brings people back and keeps them being engaged in this program throughout the many years?
It's the element of surprise. You know, it's like when you go to Costco, you look at things on the shelf and you say, I wonder how that tastes. We remove all of that. People drive by restaurants, sometimes they don't drop in. By giving them a taste, just of what that restaurant is offering, it does several things. First of all, it keeps our community lively. It keeps all those businesses in different malls, strip malls. It keeps them thriving. It keeps the traffic moving, which is something we truly need. If you notice during the pandemic, when all the restaurants were forced to close down, we really had an opportunity to see just how vital restaurants are to a community. They provide foot traffic, they provide interest, and they provide very wonderful experiences, because what's more fun than eating? And eating your favorite foods or eating new foods. So yes, we need restaurants. They are vital to the growth of our community.
And Johnny, we only have another really minute with you on the program today, but really want to conclude this by asking you how this really does align and capture the essence of what the Friends of the Library is all about as they put this programming together and collaborate to advocate also for the West Bloomfield Township Public Library's 2 branches.
Yes, the Friends of the West Bloomfield Public Township Library, what we do is we support the library in every way. We provide programming, we provide funds that support the library, the greater library's vision. So what our program also does, for instance, we're going to be featuring Al Chile Mexican cuisine or restaurant on March the 12th. Programs like that bring people from every walk of our community. It's not specific to a particular group because we all like different types of food. And our vision of the Friends is to engage our entire community. That's why we have such a variety. And we're going to be sponsoring, we're going to have a tea party at the end of May. So we're going to be doing a lot of different things that interest a lot of different people, which is our entire mission, engaging the entire community.
More information on the Friends of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library can be found on WBLIB.org, including their events all throughout the year on the library's calendar. Johnny, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on as we preview what's cooking. It's happening all throughout the year, including tonight at the West Bloomfield Township Public Library in their main meeting room at the main branch of the library. Rescheduled after the weather last week. If you like breakfast for dinner, Melt and Dip in West Bloomfield is the featured restaurant. Again, Monday night tonight, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the meeting room at the main branch of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library, just off of Walnut Lake Road. Best part about it, you can just show up. No registration is required. More info again on WBLIB.org, and find more info on library events on Facebook at West Bloom LIB. There's plenty more happening at the West Bloomfield Township Public Library this week, from tasty food to learning experiences, especially as we continue to celebrate Black History Month throughout our community. Telling the stories of Black history and the struggles of our community here in Greater West Bloomfield is something that can really often be told very well through performance. And so a spoken word artist is coming to the library on Tuesday this week and joins me now on the Splash Live. His name is Caleb Rainey. Caleb, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you on, as you are going to be at the West Bloomfield Township Public Library sharing spoken word poems and tackling quite a wide variety of really important topics in our society today and throughout history. Tell us a little bit about what people can expect when they see you at the library.
Yeah, people can expect poems that are going to tackle race relations. I grew up in the Midwest as a Black man, and so my poems tackle these kind of tough conversations, but also a level of vulnerability and heart, because I think our biggest change comes from when we recognize the humanity within each other. So I will be performing poems for about 60 to 90 minutes and talking about my experiences.
And so spoken word is your sort of outlet of choice in this scenario for performance, but also you're a storyteller. You've written books, you've produced films. So how does a spoken word act ultimately get that message across in a really powerful way that people will be able to witness in person at our library?
Yes, I think what's really different than maybe reading these stories in a book is that you get to associate a face with these stories, and my voice gets to carry. You can hear the pain when I'm talking about some of those tough moments, right? Or the joy when it comes to me celebrating my own history. And so what you get out of spoken word is this real live art. And every time I share a poem, every time I perform a spoken word piece, it's a little different because I'm a little different every moment, every minute. And so it becomes this moment where real people get to sit in art in real time.
And how do you feel the reaction from that helps to further these really important societal conversations we continue to need to have, for better or for worse? They see, as you said, that personal element of these stories. Does that help to aid sort of that ever important conversation after the fact?
Oh, absolutely. I think even the fact that it is a live performance makes it so that we're more likely to talk about it afterwards. You may read a book at home and then never talk about it with anyone in your life again. But in a moment where it was alive and you talked about it with me or with someone next to you, then afterwards you go talking about it with your family and your friends, and you get to spark some of these conversations because you're already more comfortable with it being said out loud. The quiet part is being said out loud, and now we have the permission to speak about it.
Caleb Rainey is an award-winning author, performer, and short film producer who will be at the West Bloomfield Township Public Library in their main branch's meeting room Tuesday, February 18th, beginning at 7 o'clock. Spoken word poetry and a great conversation on really important topics that affect everybody in our community and relate back to the ever-important Black History Month as we continue to celebrate and recognize the impact of Black history here in Greater West Bloomfield and beyond. You mentioned some of the key topics that you'll be discussing sort of on a broad range, but what's some of the overarching messages that people are going to learn even more about as they do see your performance on Tuesday, February 18th, and engage in those conversations with their neighbors and friends afterward?
Yeah, so we'll be covering things like police brutality, but we'll also be covering things like the education system and my experiences and challenges that came with being in the education system in the Midwest as a Black man or a Black child, really. And we'll also be talking about those social relationships. There is a poem where I talk about a white man who comes up to me and asks me why Black men don't want to be good dads, right? And we get to have this conversation both in the piece and then in the performance space where we get to unpack these kind of tighter, more specific moments. And so that's kind of what we'll be ranging through.
You can find more information on Black History Month programming through the West Bloomfield Township Public Library on the website West Bloom. LIB is on Facebook, or you can find them on WBLIB.org. That includes a performance and a conversation with Caleb Rainey Tuesday, February 18th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. in the meeting room at the main branch of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library. He joins us on the Splash Live as we preview his upcoming appearance at our local library. And connection's really important with these stories. Of course, those that are in our community have shared experiences in our Black community are going to be able to really relate to some of your stories, but others, we have a very diverse community of people of all different ethnic backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, certainly cultural and religious backgrounds. How do you hope they're able to relate to these stories? How do you keep those relatable to them in a way that does spark those conversations and does spark ultimately some learning and some thought afterwards?
Well, I come from an educator's background. I'm an educator, my mother was. And so the way that I approach my artistry and my work and my performances is to meet people where they're at. So even though I'm bringing my full self and I'm talking about my personal experiences, my goal in all of my work is to kind of boil it down to the center point of what it really is about, what value we're talking about. Are we talking about empathy, compassion, understanding? Are we talking about showing up and supporting others? Those are things that are across all diverse backgrounds and identities. Those are values that we hold as a community or as a human being. And those are the things that I'm always hoping to reach and bring out in my performances, so that we will never just be stuck in this, well, that's not my experience and I don't understand it, so I'm not going to engage with it. No, this is the human experience.
And part of the beauty of art is that you're able to open people's eyes to different perspectives or make them think about things maybe from a different angle. And whether that changes their mind or not is really not the purpose of that art, but rather to get them thinking about these complicated topics that affect many people in our community. And so, Caleb, as you perform these acts and you have these different conversations with our community following your performance on Tuesday, it's no secret. We live in a very divisive time. We have a lot of people that are really questioning the role of identity in our society today. So as you do engage in these performances, and you do hope that people take a little bit away from what you perform on Tuesday, February 18th, and how much more important do you believe maybe it is that you do have this sort of discussion through art in today's society especially?
I think art is the place where we allow our guard to drop a little bit. And I think in these times, we really need that. I think when we lead with a hyper-political conversation, it can be really hard to listen to each other. But art is this question of, what if we bring humanity into the conversation? What if we bring in creativity and alternate perspectives to allow ourselves to kind of stretch our mind? And I think we approach art with that comfortability where we don't approach it with some of the other harder conversations.
Caleb Rainey is with us. He is a spoken word artist who will be performing as part of the West Bloomfield Township's Public Library's Black History Month programming Tuesday, February 18th. That performance at the main library in the meeting room. More information on WBLIB.org or follow them on Facebook at West Bloom LIB. Caleb, what ultimately keeps you coming back to do more of these performances, not only in our local libraries, but in other places all across the U.S. and sparks that passion for you to continue to tell these stories in different ways?
I think for me, it is truly the conversations that happen after the performance. I am not a performer who shares my poetry and then hides. I am standing right in the room with you so that we can keep talking. And there are people who have come up to me and said, I see things differently now. Or I never knew exactly how to name that, and now I do. Or I've heard a little bit about this, but I've never fully understood, and now I get it. And those are the things that make me keep coming back, because I'm hoping that together we will hold hands and go to a brighter future and a better understanding with more compassion and love. And those are where those conversations start. And so I get my cup filled by helping others move closer to where we are all a little bit better.
Caleb, we've got about 1 more minute left with you before we'll have to move on today. So if people are just tuning in, give them that last minute pitch for why they should come out and see you and join in on that conversation and connection at the West Bloomfield Library.
Absolutely. You should come out because there is going to be a real, authentic human connection that's happening in that space where it is a divisive time and we need to be closer to each other.
He is an award-winning artist who does this all throughout the U.S. and has won many different awards, including finishing 7th in the 2023 UNESCO Slam-O-Vision Global Poetry Slam in Iowa City. And you'll be able to see him very soon at the West Bloomfield Township Public Library. Caleb, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Glad to have Caleb on and all of our guests on today's edition of The Splash Live. It is our time to go, but you can always find us online on CivicCenterTV.com. Make sure to follow us as well across social media. Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, YouTube, X, and Instagram at Civic Center TV. Big thank you to our crew, Calvin Brown and Ryan Younglove, as well as our field team, Jake Schaff and Kevin McIntosh, for their reports on today's program. For all of us here at Civic Center TV, I'm Tyler Kieft. Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.